Hello, all you beautiful people out there, and welcome. Today I'm doing Mormonism 101, setting the scene. Um, it's not setting the scene like you might think, though. Instead of setting the scene with, Joseph Smith and all that, I'm actually going to go back to First Nephi and tell you a little bit about Uh, I'm going to set the scene for the Book of Mormon. I will get to Joseph Smith, but I'll get to it later. Okay, so um, so in the Book of Mormon starts out in Jerusalem, okay? And there's a guy named Lehi. Hey, Lisa. There's a guy named Lehi, and he's married to Sariah, and they have 4 sons. uh, Laman, Lemuel, Sam, and Nephi. And Lehi is a prophet, and he's living in Jerusalem at the time when the Jews threw Jeremiah in prison. So uh, God gives Lehi a vision saying, look, you've got to get out of Jerusalem or they're going to come for you too. Why he didn't do that for Jeremiah, I don't know. But anyway, um, uh, so Lehi says, okay. So he packs up his tent and his family, just basic things that they need, not everything. And they go out in the wilderness. And so then Lehi has another dream, and it says, and in this dream, God says to him, look, you need the golden plates. Now, the golden plates were like, they had like the Torah and some genealogy. So Lehi goes to his sons and says, look, you got to go back to Jerusalem and get these golden plates. And I know who has these golden plates, by the way, and his name is Laban, and he's a relative of ours. So, so the 4 boys go back and they ask Laban for the plates. And Laban says, you're just trying to, they're gold. They're worth a bunch of money. And you're just trying to rob me. So they get out of the city because they don't know what Laban's going to do. So they run out of the city. And Laman and Lemuel are like, you know what? Let's just go back, tell our dad that we couldn't get the plates. But Nephi's like, well, wait a minute. We left all of our gold and silver and jewels and whatnot. We left all of that at our house because, we had to get out of Jerusalem, and what good is all that stuff in the wilderness? So he says, so why don't we go and get all of those things and then take it to Laban and prove to him that we're not thieves. In other words, we're going to buy the plates from him. So they go to their house and, hey, Maddie. Not today, Maddie. So they go to their house and they get all of their stuff, as much as they can carry, right? They got 4 strapping lads, Um, so, and then they go back to Laban and they say, "Look, Laban, okay, you know, um, we're going to buy the plates from you since you think, you know, we just want, hey, Marianne, um, since you think we want the plates for free, no, that's not what we want. We will buy the plates from you. We just need those plates." So Laban, he sees all of the material possessions, and he says, "Huh, I want those for myself. I want all of those possessions for myself." So, so he says, "No, you can't have the plates." And then he sends some of his men, because Laban has men under him. He sends some of his men to go kill the 4 lads and take property. And so they run out of Jerusalem again. And by this time, Laman and Lemuel have had enough. And they're like, "Look, we can't get the plates. Let's just go back to our mom and dad and tell them we can't get the plates. It's not our fault if Laban isn't going to give us the plates." And Nephi says, "Well, look, you know, our dad really wants us to get the plates. And so we're going to get the plates. Come hell or high water, we're going to get those plates." So Laman and Lemuel's like, "Yeah, whatever." Like, and they say, okay. We're going to play along with you. Let's draw lots and find out, you know, who's going to go back in Jerusalem and ask Laban for these plates. And so they drew lots, and the lot falls upon Nephi. So Nephi goes back into Jerusalem, and he finds Laban walking around, right? And Laban's drunk. And so he's like, "Huh, well, maybe I can get the plates now." Uh, but anyway, so while Laban is drunk, the spirit comes to Nephi and says, "You got to kill him. That's the only way you're going to get the plates. You got to kill Laban." And Nephi's like, "I haven't killed anyone in my life." And so the spirit's like, "You got to do it, man. You got to do it. You know, this is the God of the Old Testament, right? I mean, come on. Um, Even though this is made up, I mean, the Old Testament's made up too for the most part, right? But even though it's made up, if it's perfectly with the God of the Old Testament, you know, if you want something and they're not going to give it to you, kill them and take it anyway, right? That's basically the God of the Old Testament. So anyway, so Nephi does kill Laban, and he takes Laban's clothes, puts them on him. He dresses in Laban's clothes, and then he goes to Laban's house and talks to Laban's servant that has the keys to the treasury. And so the servant's name that has the keys to the treasury, his name's Zorm. So Zorm's like, hey, how'd it go with the elders? Because Laban was supposed to meet with the elders of Jerusalem. And Nephi's like, okay, I'm going to pretend I'm Laban. And Nephi says, oh, it went great. You know, they need the plate. They want the plates. They want the golden plates. So if you could go with me to the treasury and get the plates, that would be oh so wonderful. And then we'll go outside the city walls because that's where they want us to meet them. And Zorm's like, cool, that's fine. So he goes and into the treasury and gets the golden plates. And then they go out to the outside of Jerusalem. And Zorm's like, hang on a minute. These are not the elders. I know who the elders are. These aren't the elders. And he's about to run back to Jerusalem, right? And Nephi's like, oh, crap. I can't let him go back because then he's going to tell the elders that Laban's probably dead, which he is, you know, to be fair. Laban is dead because Nephi killed him, right? So anyway, so Nephi pretty much takes hold of Zoram. He says, look, you can't go back in because they're going to try to kill us if you go back in. And so why don't you come with us? Because if you come with us, then you get the promised land, and we'll get to that. Then you can come to the promised land with us, and then everything will be hunky-dory. And Zorm's like, okay, fine, whatever. And so they go trekking through the wilderness again, right? So so then they reach their father's tent, and they start hunting for their food and yada yada yada. And well, Nephi ends up breaking his bow and arrow. And his brothers get really pissed at him. And they're like, why did you break your bow and arrow? We need your bow and arrow. So Nephi's like, okay, whatever. Like, you know what? I'm just going to pray to God and he's going to tell me where to go to get more wood and blah, 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 blah. And I'll make another bow and I'll go hunting because my brothers are pretty pissed. So anyway, he does that. And then later on in the story, he hears a voice from God saying, you know what, Nephi, you need to build a ship. So Nephi is like, okay, well, where am I going to find the wood to build this ship? And where am I going to find the materials to make the tools to build the ship? And God's like, oh, don't worry about that. I'll tell you. And yada, yada, yada. I mean, kind of like the Noah's Ark story, right? So, so his brothers are making fun of him about this. And they're like, why are you building a ship? And Nephi's like, I don't know. God told me to. Okay. I'm leaving that one alone. I mean, I will cover it in my Saturday live stream, but I'm leaving that one alone. So anyway, um, moving forward, they um, they're in the wilderness, and Lehi gets another vision from God saying, you know what? This isn't going to work unless you have women with you. So your sons have to go back to Jerusalem and find a guy named Ishmael. And Ishmael has 4 daughters. And, Ishmael's going to say, yeah, we'll come with you. So um, by this time, Laman and Lemuel are kind of like, fed up with all of this. And Lehi's like, no, 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 you've got to go. So they're like, fine, Dad. So they track back to Jerusalem, right? And they find Ishmael and they find his daughters. And they're like, hey, come with us to the promised land, right? So anyway, so then they track all the way back to their dad in the wilderness. And Nephi keeps building the boat, right? And Nephi and his brothers marry the daughters of Ishmael, and Zor marries a daughter of Ishmael. And then finally the boat's finished, and they push off uh, to, they don't know, but it's the American continent, right? Okay. So anyway, so they push off, right? And everything's going hunky dory. Um, but then Laman and Lemuel get jealous, and they're like, you know what? Our brother's getting too big for his britches. We're going to tie him up to teach him a lesson. So they tie him up, and the the smooth sailing that they had when Nephi was free was, all of a sudden the sea becomes choppy and blah, 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 blah. And they're like, what are we going to do? And Lehi says, you need to free your brother. This is God's doing. God doesn't like you having your brother tied up. So you need to free your brother. So they do. And this is where the Urim and the Thummim come in, because according to the story, the Urim and the Thummim were the stones that navigated them to the American continent. So anyway, so they go, and there's a bunch of bickering back and forth. And by this time, everybody's got children, and Lehi and Sariah even had 2 children in the wilderness called Jacob and Joseph. So now they've got 6 sons, right? So the 4 older boys now have children of their own, and Zorm has children of his own. So, you know, um, and then they get to the promised land. Uh, I mean, it's kind of like, okay. Now, if if you think carefully, this is a mishmash of stories, right? You've got um, the wilderness story, which is taken from the Israelites in the wilderness, right? And then you got the boat story, which, comes from Noah's Ark, even though it's kind of a different one. I mean, you know. So anyway, so then finally, after Laman and Lemuel tie up Nephi for long periods of time, and the ship just goes about in circles because God's mad, and they free Nephi, and yada yada yada. They finally get to the American continent, and the it's kind of hard to tell where they landed on the American continent. I mean, I'm pretending the story is true, okay? But Mormon scholars will say they landed somewhere in South America. So that's basically the book of First Nephi. And then Second Nephi starts when they're in the promised land, on the American continent, and they're starting their lives. Now, peppered in through First Nephi are prophecies and visions. Some prophecies are Lehi's prophecies, but very few of them are Lehi's prophecies. Most of them are Nephi's prophecies. So that's peppered in with the story, you know. And then you've got, just they're starting a new life, right? So they don't really know where they are, aside from the promised land, right? So anyway, so that's the story of First Nephi. I've probably skipped some sections, but basically that's the story. And so if you like this kind of content, hit the like button, press the subscribe button, ring the bell so you know when I come out with new content. If you want to support this channel, you can become a member for as low as 99 cents a month. You get some cool emojis. Somebody who's a member, please spam the chat with emojis. And oh, thank you, Lisa. And so anyway, but yeah, like, share if you think it's worth sharing. And if you can, I don't want you to put yourself in any hardship, but if you can, join the channel. It really helps. And I will talk to you later. Don't forget, we have Saturday Livestream tomorrow, 4 p.m. Pacific time. Have a nice night, everyone. And I will see you tomorrow. Bye.